What's going on, guys? We got a big fight ahead of us on Saturday night. No UFC this week, so we pivot across to boxing, one of the most nearest and dearest sports to my heart, as most of you people that follow me know that. This is a fight where I'm kind of eating my words at, and I'm not, I'm man enough to say it. When this fight was first announced, I literally did not like it. I couldn't understand why they were bringing Charlo up 2 weight classes to fight this fight. It didn't make sense to me. There was like so many rhymes and reasons behind why he shouldn't take this fight and why this fight shouldn't happen. Since then, I have eaten my words. I'm going to be honest with you. I have honestly eaten my words because I'm really looking forward to this fight. And I think this fight has the potential to be a lot closer than a lot of people think. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. So before we do get into it, please like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think, your thoughts on the fights the fight coming up with Charlo and Alvarez. Also, if you haven't checked this out already, go to themadlabmma.com. We got full breakdowns on all the UFC fights, boxing, anything combat sports related. We also are now doing NFL, where we're up about 17 units on the season after 3 weeks. So we're absolutely smashing over there. Go over there and check us out. Even if you just sign up for the newsletter, you'll get emails from us all the time, some free content and some news and notes of what's going on with us and, how we're doing and such like that. So definitely go over there and check it out. Other thing is, when you go on YouTube, guys, you'll see on YouTube a lot of people. Lately, I've been seeing it a lot more. Everything is clickbait. I mean, I literally go on YouTube and I get sucked into it too. I'm always clicking on something. Wow, that's interesting. Now, if I didn't know a lot about sports and sports wasn't my job, I probably would be baited in nonstop which is clickbait after clickbait after clickbait. But when I see headlines and I actually know what actually happened, I was like, well, this is obviously clickbait. Like I tend to go through them, but I do still get caught up in it sometimes. And it's honestly the most deceiving, most annoying thing that actually turns me off. And I won't even subscribe to a channel actually when people clickbait, because I'm just like, what am I going to look at next? Like, how much time am I going to waste? Clicking on this person's clickbait. So I do assure you that I will not click. You'll never see an image with clickbait. You may see a quote that I say, how somebody can win or something like that, but it's never clickbait where you'll click onto it and it's something completely off the wall that didn't relate to the image, or it's something that has nothing to do with the image in the quote. So that I can promise you, that's one thing I always try to stay away from is clickbait. I try to get right to the point, and I'm going to do that here. Back to this fight now. This fight's not getting enough attention boxing, in general doesn't get enough attention, to be honest with you. But this is a fight that really, really, really should be, if you look at the odds, I mean, you got Charlo sitting at plus 300. It's not bad odds if you really, really think about it. A guy coming up from 55 to 68. Now, a lot of people, the first thing they think of, and the first thing I did think of before I really, really absorbed it and really laid down and think about it after I saw the announcement to the fight, is the size difference. I was like, wait a minute, this guy's coming up from 155. He's never fought above 155 before. And he's not coming up one weight class, not to like to 60. He's coming up to 68. You know what I mean? And right there, that was like a major red flag for me. But after I really started digesting things and started like looking at their overall body of work and how they fight and their somatotypes, he actually is going to be the bigger guy in there. He's going to be the more imposing guy in there, as far as size, stature, and just physical appearance. He's not a small guy. He does cut to 155, but he's not a small guy. The thing that concerns me with this fight for him with the weight jump is you can be big, you can be bullish, you can be physical in there, you can have power and speed on your own merit. But an issue is what's going to happen when he gets hit for the first time with that kind of power? We've never seen him eat power up 2 weight divisions. We've seen him take it at 55. We've seen him take it throughout his career. He's got a good chin. He's got good durability. He's got good conditioning. He's got good boxing skills. He's got a sick right hand. But we haven't seen how all that's going to translate up to 68. Maybe his conditioning's better. Maybe he brings a power up with him and it translates even higher. But the one thing you can't decipher whether it's going to translate or not is his chin. Is he going to be able to take shots from Canelo? Is he going to be able to sustain the body attack from Canelo? We don't know that. We'll only know that on Saturday night. When you look at the overall body work of, Canelo Alvarez's career, this is a guy who, he's been criticized a lot. He's been criticized a lot by boxing, fans and stuff, by a guy who sometimes tends to avoid fights or cherry pick fights. And, maybe in certain spots he has, but his overall body of work, this guy kind of jumps into the fire more often than not, and is there something to be said about a couple of the fights were extremely questionable? Absolutely. I totally believe he lost the fight to Lara, and I 1,000% am convinced that he lost the Triple G fight, especially the first one. So there are, spots on his record where if you added those into the mix, where would his legacy stand from there? You always got to look back at that. The same thing with guys like John Jones. There are fights that John Jones has lost, but the judges have given it to him. And you got to wonder, how does that affect his legacy if the right calls were actually made? Doesn't take away that Canelo's a great fighter. It doesn't take away that John Jones is a great fighter, but it does take away a little bit if they do have a couple L's that are well-deserved on their record. My concern with Canelo in this fight is not his skill set. It's not anything else but time. Time is something that you cannot rewind. Time is something you just can't go back and you don't get better with time. When you're younger, you get better with time because you're still a sponge. You're still absorbing knowledge. You're still learning your craft. But actually, after you hit a peak elite level, and you're kind of coasting at the elite level where your ceiling is, you really don't have that ceiling anymore. You only start to dip down. You got the wars, you got the punishments, you got the rounds, you got the constant camps, the taxing of your body. Like, you just don't get better. You can sustain it. You can learn a couple new nuances. Your matchups can be really good going into a fight where you actually look a lot better because it's the stylistic matchup that you're going against. But once you hit that elite level and you hit a certain age, you're kind of either going like this, maybe with a slight increase, or you're starting to come down. Damage doesn't get you better. Wars don't make you any better. They only give you a dip in your career. So Alvarez is in that state of physicality right now where he's not going to get any better. He's only going to start to decline a little bit. Another thing is money. This guy has, outside of Floyd Mayweather, this guy is paid extremely handsomely. I mean, this guy's got a lot of money. This guy's playing golf. He's doing his thing. He doesn't want need for nothing. He loses this fight, he's fine. He could go off and he could retire after this fight. And this guy's set for life. His kids are set for life. His kids are set for life. So you got to wonder if the hunger and the motivation starts dipping at that point. You know what I mean? Like, you did everything you can do. You're considered one of the best, in the era. You've gotten all the belts. You've done everything. You've got money. You've got the success. You got pretty much everything. You got, Mexico on your shoulders. What else do you possibly need? Like, what is going to get you out of bed in the morning for another pinnacle to be reached? He's reached the pinnacle. He's been there. He's fought everybody. He's beaten everybody. He's the champion. There's really not much more he can do that gets him out of bed with that hunger, that fire in his belly, in the morning. You got a guy now that in Charlo who is looking for that. You know what I mean? This is a guy who is looking for that. He himself at 55 has had tremendous success. But who's hungrier? Who's hungrier in this spot? That's my concern for Alvarez. And in a game like this, which it's not a game because you don't play boxing, a game like this, fractions of a second mean everything. If your timing is a little bit off, if you're just a lackadaisical for 1 second in there, you get caught with something and it could change a complete complexion of the fight. But to sleep on Alvarez and to think that Alvarez doesn't have the leg up in this fight would be kind of foolish. This is an uphill battle for Charlo. Does he have an opportunity to win this fight? Yes. Does he have paths to win this fight? Absolutely. That's what makes it interesting. But to say it's not an uphill battle for Charlo is you're lying to yourself and the people that are telling you that this is a fight where Canelo can't win or he's too old or this. You're just lying to yourself. The media's lying to you. Whether it's for clicks on YouTube or whether it's for any other reason. This is an uphill battle for Charlo just in the weight division alone. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's 55. I don't care if he's big or not. He's coming up to 68, and he's fighting a guy who's been there, who's got belts there. This is a guy. Yeah, did he gradually go up to that weight? Absolutely did. Canelo was a smaller guy. He gradually built himself up to that weight class, but he's been there. He's taken the shots. He knows what it feels like. Where Charlo, we don't know that yet. So where does Charlo win this fight? I can tell you right now that he can't box his way to a decision. They will not give him a decision. They will not. They will not. They will not. There's no way that Charlo wins a decision against Canelo Alvarez. It's not going to happen. He will. We've seen what happened with Triple G. I mean, Triple G literally beat him in the first fight, and they didn't even give him the victory. I mean, that was clear as day that he beat him. You know, so you're talking about a guy now who he just signed a 3-fight deal. Now, people are saying the business of boxing, the business of boxing, the business of boxing. Canelo just signed a 3-fight deal. Okay, he signed a 3-fight deal. I get it. But just because he signed a 3-fight deal doesn't mean that this is all pegged and lined up for, you know, he's got to win this fight, and then the next fight he goes to fighter B and fighter C. This can be a situation where if Charlo does win this fight, that second fight in his contract signs them up now for a second fight, for the rubber match if he ends up losing. Then that third fight that he signed the contract for can actually be the rubber match. So when you look at the contract in Slate, it's good business both ways. Canelo either wins this fight and goes on to fight bigger and better things, or Charlo wins this fight and everybody's now going to tune into the rematch to see if he can get it back. And then everybody's going to tune into the rubber match to see who wins the rubber match. So it's talking about the business of boxing, it's a no-lose situation on the Canelo side. You know, it doesn't really do nothing to his legacy. You got a big rematch that everyone's going to watch to see if it was a fluke or not. And then you got the rubber match to see who wins what. So from a business perspective, it's money all the way around the table. But how does he win this fight? How does Canelo actually lose this fight? Like I said, you're not going to outbox him. Even if you outbox him, the judges aren't going to allow you to outbox him. So you got to take that off the table. Charlo has to win by knockout, period, end. Charlo has to end up knocking him out. Can he knock him out? Yeah, he actually can knock him out. Will he knock him out is a different story. But if you guys are going to angle this fight in any which way but loose, if you guys have a lean in your heart and your head that you're like, you know what, I think there's a possibility that he could win this fight, do not bet Charlo plus 300. I mean, just don't do it. You might as well take Charlo by knockout or TKO by plus 950. So if you want to do that, if you really believe that this dude has a legitimate chance to win this fight, then I'm telling you the only way he wins this fight by knockout, because he's not winning a decision against Canelo. They will not give him one, okay? So you take that off the table. You might as well just throw the bones on the plus 950 and hope that he catches him. As far as Alvarez, I think the way Alvarez wins this fight is I think he's going to torment his body. I think that's what Canelo's going to do. Canelo's going to torment Charlo's body, and I think that his greatest path as far as a knockout would be within 7 rounds. I think that's the hard number 7. That between 1 and 7. I think that's where Canelo ends up finishing him if he ends up winning the fight. If it goes to the cards, we're all going to say that Canelo won. But I say after round 7, if Canelo doesn't get him out of there, I think it's going to start getting really, really interesting. Because, like I said, he's got the older legs. He's getting a little bit older. He's been through all the wars. If Charlo can make it to round number 7, and this fight is close, and he's had his moments where he's opened up on him a little bit, and he put Canelo back on his back foot, and there were some oohs and ahs in some of these rounds where you actually seen Canelo in a little bit of trouble. If this thing goes into round number 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, those last 5 rounds are going to be really interesting, really, really interesting. So anybody who's looking for Canelo to really dominate this fight and maybe put Charlo out, you're looking within 1 through 7. 1 through 7. Anything after that, I think that's when this fight can get really interesting. When you've seen Charlo take his best shot, when you've seen Charlo really not move. If you're seeing Charlo on stinky legs and he maybe went down once or twice, then that's a different story. Forget about the whole 7-round thing. But if you're looking at a fight where he's standing his ground, he's taking his power, he's giving him power back, he's taking the body shots, his defense is a little bit more crisp than it usually is, because he does have a tendency of getting hit. But he looks like he's a little bit more the bully in there. Then round 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, they're going to be really, really, really interesting rounds. So, my official pick is I have to go with Canelo. I mean, like, you have to. I've always in the sound mind of you have to show me. Like, you must show me that you can fight up not only a weight division but 2 weight divisions. That you're ready for that level of competition. You got to show me that you can take that shot. From somebody like Canelo at that weight. I don't know. Like, I've never seen you do that. You know, like I said, there are weight classes for a division, but what kind of tapers that in a little bit is that he is bigger than Canelo. In all actuality, he walks around bigger than Canelo. So that does help, but it doesn't do anything for your chin. Outside of a really hard weight cut, obviously we know if you have a really, really hard weight cut and you know, it can absolutely affect your chin and it can affect your durability and your conditioning and stuff like that. But it doesn't affect you when you're in there for 12 rounds with a world-class champion that hits like a truck. Are you going to be able to sustain that punishment when he's digging to your body and he's hitting you upstairs? And are you going to be able to sustain it? And for how long, if you can, how long are you going to be able to sustain that? So my official pick is going to be Canelo. I'm going to say Canelo gets it done inside the distance. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I would not lay a dime on Canelo Alvarez in this fight. I wouldn't lay a dime on him by knockout. I wouldn't lay a dime on him in this fight. I really do think Charlo is live in this fight. I think he's extremely dangerous in this fight. I think that if he wins this fight, he wins this fight by knockout, which is not completely out of bounds. I would not be shocked if it happened. So if you guys do want to go to the betting window, I would do that plus 950. I would stay away from the plus 100. The only option to bet this fight is a dog or pass and a plus 950 by knockout. And outside of that, if you don't want to, you stay away from it. But there is value on that. There 1,000% is value on that, and I might even take a little sprinkle on that come fight night, depending on what's going on and how much more I can dig up. But listen, guys, people can come out with all these videos and all these philosophies on why Charlo should win and he's going to win, and that's all fine and great. That's all fine and great, but it's all hypothetically speaking at that point, because you've never seen him do it. You've never seen him jump to a weight class at 68. You've never seen him in this situation. So you're calling it blind at that point, because it all is going to be is, can he take a shot from Canelo? That's what we all got to find out. That's what we really, really got to find out. And on Canelo's side, does he have the legs to keep up with Charlo if Charlo takes his shots and starts putting it on him? Very interesting fight. We've seen Canelo dip in the past, right? We've seen Canelo not really have great fights. He's been kind of up and down. He had one really good fight, one good fight, one fight. So you could see the consistency of him is starting to kind of, flip a little bit. He comes in with the on Saturday night, and Charlo's on his game. You're going to see a really, really good fight. So I totally suggest you guys tune in. Depending on what kind of outcome we have, I mean, if it's a typical Canelo fight where he wins by decision or ends up knocking him out, and it was no surprise to anybody, probably won't do a video. But if it's something shocking, if something that happens where, like, Charlo ends up knocking him out, or it was a bogus decision, if it goes to the cards, and obviously I will come back on and make a reaction video. But like I said, guys, official prediction, Canelo Alvarez probably inside the distance, but the bet to play, if you guys want to have a little bit of action, would probably be plus 950, Charlo by knockout. I'll talk to you soon.